It's 3 a.m. in Missoula, Montana, and the air smells like stale coffee, unwashed Nomex, and the looming realization that you're about to do something statistically insane. Welcome to the life of a smoke jumper. If you're looking for a hero story with a clean uniform and a slow-motion walk away from an explosion, you're in the wrong place. We don't walk away from explosions. We jump out of perfectly good airplanes directly into the teeth of them. Your alarm didn't just go off, it screamed at you, a jagged electronic reminder that while the rest of the world is dreaming about their 9-to-5 desk jobs, you're checking the tension on a parachute that was packed by a guy who hasn't slept since Tuesday. That guy is you. We pack our own chutes, because when you're screaming toward a canopy of burning Douglas firs at 100 miles an hour, you don't want to be wondering if some intern remembered to seat the toggles. The morning routine is a blur of high-octane caffeine and the list. The jump list is the holy scripture of the base. If your name's at the top, you're up. You're the first one on the plane when the siren wails. And that siren doesn't just ring, it tears through the hangar like a physical blow. You've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes to transition from a half-conscious stick man with massive eye bags to a 200-pound weapon of forest fire suppression. You pull on your padded jumpsuit, Kevlar reinforced, because trees have a nasty habit of trying to impale you. You hoist your gear. Between the parachute, the reserve, the helmet, and the personal gear bag, you're carrying nearly 100 pounds of dead weight. You look like a deep-sea diver who got lost on the way to the ocean, but instead of water, you're diving into a sea of smoke and heat. The flight is the quietest part of the day. You're crammed into a twin otter or a Sherpa with 7 other lunatics. The smell of aviation fuel is thick enough to chew. You look at the guy across from you. He's got the psycho look. Pupils dilated, a smirk that says he knows exactly how thin the line is between a successful landing and becoming a permanent part of the landscape. The spotter is at the open door, looking for the smoke. When he finds it, he's not looking for a nice flat meadow. He's looking for the least deadly place to throw human beings. He drops streamers to check the wind. You watch them drift, a tiny ribbon of silk against the backdrop of a 1,000-acre crown fire. A crown fire is when the flames reach the tops of the trees. It's a wall of orange that moves faster than a panicked deer. And that's where you're going. The tap on the shoulder is the point of no return. Go. Your brain screams no, but your legs don't care. You hit the air, and for a split second, the world is silent. Then the static line snaps. The chute opens with a bone-jarring thwack, and you're hanging over a furnace. You're steering a square canopy, trying to avoid the widowmakers, standing dead trees that'll snap like toothpicks and crush you before you even hit the ground. You aim for the trees. Yes, you read that right. We aim for the smaller trees because they break your fall. It's called a tree landing. You crash through the branches, pray in your Kevlar suit holds, and if you're lucky, you end up dangling 10 feet off the ground instead of being pancaked on a granite boulder. You release your harness, drop to the dirt, and the real work begins. The plane is gone. The silence is replaced by the roar of the fire, a sound like a freight train that never ends. You've got a Pulaski in your hand, half axe, half hoe, and 1,000 yards of fire line to dig before the wind shifts and decides to eat you alive.
You think you're tough because you go to the gym 3 times a week and track your macros? Cute. Smokejumper rookie training, better known as rookie hell, is designed to find the exact moment your soul decides to quit and then make you stay there for 6 weeks. We don't care about your bench press. We care if you can carry a 110-pound pack over a mountain ridge for 8 hours after you've already spent the morning doing 100 pull-ups. The failure rate is a point of pride. In a class of 30 hotshots, the elite ground crews who are already the best of the best, maybe 5 will make it to the end. The rest? They go back to the regular fire lines with their tails between their legs, realizing they aren't quite psycho enough for the jump. It starts with the pack test, but it's not just a walk in the park. It's 3 miles with a 45-pound pack in under 45 minutes. That's the easy part. That's the welcome to the office part. Then comes the muck. Imagine a pit of mud and misery where instructors scream at you until you forget your own name. They're looking for the weak link. If you snap when a guy is yelling at you in a controlled environment, you're going to be a liability when you're trapped in a canyon with a 200-foot wall of fire closing in. Then there's the units. Unit 1 is the physical torture. Unit 2 is the technical hell. You have to learn to pack your own parachute. It's a meticulous, soul-crushing process. 1 fold out of place, 1 line twisted, and you're a lawn dart. You do it over and over until your fingers bleed and you're seeing silk in your sleep. The instructors will come by and rip it apart just as you're finishing, just to see if you'll cry. Don't cry. If you cry, you're out. Smoke jumpers don't have tear ducts. We have salt-encrusted exhaust ports. But the real filter is the mock. It's a giant metal tower designed to simulate a parachute landing gone wrong. They strap you in and drop you. You have to perform emergency procedures while plummeting toward the earth. If you fumble your reserve handle, if you hesitate for even a microsecond, you're washed out. We don't want people who think, we want people who react. Because when the smoke is so thick you can't see your own hands and the heat is melting the plastic on your goggles, thinking is a luxury you don't have. You need to be a machine. You also learn tree climbing, not the save a kitten kind of climbing. We use spikes and flip lines to scale 80-foot pines to retrieve gear or to get a better vantage point. You're exhausted, your muscles are screaming in a language you didn't know existed, and you're expected to perform complex knots and rigging while dangling by a wire. This is the survival phase. By week 4, the psycho phase starts to set in. The dark eye bags aren't just a fashion statement, they're a badge of honor. You've stopped caring about the pain. You've stopped caring about the lack of sleep. You've become part of the elite few who realize that code black isn't just a medical term, it's a lifestyle. You're ready to jump, but the mountains don't care about your training. The mountains are waiting to see if you'll actually hold your ground when the oxygen disappears.
Let's talk about the Devil's Throat fire. This isn't a textbook scenario. This is the day the manual caught fire and burned to ash. We got the call at 1600 hours, a lightning strike in a remote canyon in the Gila wilderness, rugged terrain, no road access, and a wind that was gusting at 40 knots. The spotter looked at the drop zone and didn't even say anything, he just pointed. It was a steep slope littered with jagged rocks and burning snags. We jumped. The air was so turbulent the plane felt like it was being tossed by a giant. I hit the air and the wind caught my canopy, slamming me toward a rock face. I pulled the toggles hard, my shoulders screaming, and barely cleared the ledge before crashing into a stand of scorched spruce. I was hanging 20 feet up, the heat from the ground fire already blistering my boots. I cut away, hit the dirt hard, and felt my ankle scream. Sprained? Probably. Broken? Doesn't matter. There's no medevac coming for a twisted ankle when the whole forest is turning into a charcoal briquette. There were 4 of us. Our mission was to anchor the flank of the fire to prevent it from jumping the ridge and heading toward a small town 10 miles downwind. We spent 6 hours digging. Laces, lookouts, communications, escape routes, safety zones. That's the mantra. But the escape routes were disappearing fast. The wind shifted, a sudden, violent 180-degree turn. In the fire world, that's called a blow-up. The fire transitioned from the ground to the crowns in seconds. The sound was deafening, like 1,000 jet engines starting at once. "Drop your packs! Shelters now!" The order came over the radio, cracked and distorted. You don't run from a crown fire on a 60-degree slope. You hide. I reached for my fire shelter, the shake and bake. It's a thin aluminum foil-looking tent that is the only thing between you and 3,000 degrees of thermal radiation. You have to deploy it in seconds. You lie face down in the dirt, digging your nose into the soil, because that's the only place there's still a pocket of breathable oxygen. I felt the heat before I saw the flame. It was a physical weight pressing me into the ground. The shelter started to vibrate from the force of the firestorm. Inside, it was a tomb of reflected heat. You're breathing in dust and your own sweat, praying the adhesive on the shelter doesn't fail. You hear the trees exploding outside, literally exploding as the sap boils and turns to steam. It's the longest 10 minutes of your life. Every second, you're waiting for the burn-through, for the moment the foil gives way and you're turned into a human candle. And then, the roar faded. I waited another 5 minutes, the cool down, before I dared to peek out. The world was gone. Everything was gray. The lush forest I had jumped into was now a moonscape of smoking ash and glowing ghost logs. My boots were partially melted. My lungs felt like I'd swallowed a bag of hot needles, but I was alive. My team? We crawled out of our foil cocoons, looking at each other with those dilated psycho eyes. No one said a word. We didn't need to. We grabbed what was left of our tools and started digging again, because the fire wasn't done, and neither were we. That's what it's like to be a smoke jumper. We don't save the world. We just hold the line until the sun comes up, or we run out of dirt to dig. Now pass me that coffee. It's almost 4 a.m., and there's another smoke on the horizon.